Mark Goldbridge might just be the biggest football influencer on the planet. AFTV and Robbie are huge, but Mark has certainly left an indelible mark on the world of football fan content. In this video, we'll take a deeper look into parts of his past which aren't really known or spoken of.
I went into the police, was in uniform for about a year and a half, and then detective for about 10 years before I left.
Really?
I mean, that is mad. You wouldn't really expect a football YouTuber to have a previous job that involves being in the police force. Probably the least likely occupation you'd expect them to have. Maybe think they'd have a job that's a lot more casual, but Mark definitely has a history which surpasses your expectations.
That seems like you've kind of just fallen into that. But don't people go to college and uni for years to get into stuff like that?
I think you have to now. I'd be screwed. Yeah.
So how did you
used to let anyone in?
What did you just apply for it?
Yeah, you've got to pass some tests, and some of the people, idiots who turned up, you were like, you're not even tuck your shirt in, mate. They're never going to let you do it. But
right,
you could technically go in with no GCSEs and get into the police.
Really?
Scary, some of the idiots that were in there.
I mean, that is a crazy thought. The fact that obviously being in the police force is a job that requires a lot of skill and focus. It's not easy at all, and that you don't even need any educational grades to get in. And so some of the people that are actually there aren't even people that are that qualified.
What kind of stuff did you have to do in that first year? Did you get in any danger?
Yeah, I mean, I worked city centre, so I went to...
And this is where, sorry?
Birmingham.
Birmingham,
centre.
right.
So after London, it's probably up there with Manchester. It was quite... Yeah, you'd get... Yeah. Lots of robberies, stabbings, shootings, fightings. It's not a word, but... Yeah.
I mean, Birmingham is seen as one of the main cities in England besides London, so it's not surprising that there's a fair share of crime there. And when you're a detective or policeman on the scene like Mark was back in the day, obviously, there's a lot that you have to deal with. And it's not an easy job, I can't imagine. It's kind of mad that you go from doing one of the hardest jobs out there to being fortunate enough to just make content for a living.
Because when I went to police training college, it was like 12 weeks really strict. Like it was like being in the army.
Right.
We're not in the army.
Yeah.
And they were like, put your hat on properly. Do 20 press-ups.
Obviously, being a police officer is a job which requires quite a strict regime. So when you're training to become one, there's obviously a lot which you need to do. However, Mark appears to be somebody who doesn't have that level of discipline. He's a lot more laid back.
You got given CS spray and a baton,
right,
which is basically a bit of metal that you go like that and it extends out. So you can hit people with it if the need takes you, or it's within the law. I could never get it to do that. So...
You can never get the baton out.
No.
So it's just a tiny stick.
It's like I'm trying to hit a drum or something with a tiny stick.
Mark doesn't seem fit for that kind of job because, judging by the light-hearted nature of his videos, they're obviously quite comical. He doesn't seem like somebody who's that serious. So when you're on the job having to deal with offenders or criminals, it's just not really something that seems like he'd be able to do, and that's shown by how he can't even really get a baton out properly.
Really?
You progressed to become a detective?
I was very good at that, yeah.
Was you?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you have to do in that?
Well, it's investigation, isn't it? So it's like being paid to play Among Us.
Being a detective seems more up Mark's alley compared to being a police officer, because being a police officer is more intense. You're in the front row of the action, you're stopping a crime as it's happening, whereas investigations and detective work usually takes place after a crime has happened, not during it.